Welcome to Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl, the podcast where I blend life, love, sex, and relationships with mental health, social issues, and history, all from my very unabashed perspective. Join me, Joe Ciceron, as we unravel the power of vulnerability, celebrate storytelling, our history, and connect with incredible individuals who have tales to share. Let's dive deep into our essence and the narratives that mold us, because in this space, we believe in the magic of authenticity and the beauty of being unapologetically you.
Welcome to another episode of Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl. I'm your host, Joe, and today we are with the very lovable and sweet Junior from Throuple on Peacock TV. Welcome to the show, Junior.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to spend this time with you and to know you better today and share some of my experience.
Thank you so much for coming on. As you know, we've had a few of your castmates on here. You are one I was particularly excited to get to know. If y'all don't know, Junior has a song that is out right now on Spotify and a few other platforms. I like it. And It is a great song. You're listening to it right now. So definitely go download. Make sure y'all blowing it up. Give them some love. What are your handles? Go ahead and drop them right now.
Yeah, for sure. So on all music platforms, it's just Junior with the space in between every letter, all capitals. And then my handles for all social media will start with The Living Ken. On Instagram only, it's The Living Ken Doll. Everything else you can find me The Living Ken.
Awesome. So, Junior, we met him on Throuple. I want to hear the whole story. What made you want to go on Throuple as a single? Tell me about your background. Are you polyamorous, or did you have polyamory experience before you went on the show?
Yeah, that's a great question. So essentially, it was kind of crazy because I was already on that wavelength of like getting into more personality work. I had done a project with 17 recently. I was talking to BuzzFeed about a project that I was getting ready to do with them as well. So I was just looking at different dating shows, but I never saw it at all. Somebody had just like contacted me via Instagram, and they were just like, hey, so like, I think you'd be kind of great for this. Like, are you interested in like, like a couple, are you really queer? Like, I'm like, yeah, of course I'm queer. Like, you see my page. But then, like, once we get on the phone and we're talking, and they're just like asking me more about polyamory. In transparency, like, I've never pursued it intentionally on my own. There's only been one time when it like, where a couple has truly like tried to pursue me, and I was just like, okay, well, let's just see like how this, works out. But other than that, I'd only had like, of course, like the human experience of being with multiple people at a time, but not necessarily actually being able to have a romantic experience with that, or in an intimate capacity to be able to be romantic as well also. So my goal on the show was to be able to say like, yeah, I'm not unfamiliar with any of this. However, I would like to see how seriously I could take it and how seriously two people could take me, maybe. And I feel like it was just like more of an actual, I don't want to say experiment, even though it very much is an experiment, but I feel like it was more of a controlled environment for us to kind of safely do that. We had a lot of rules and stipulations around the amount of alcohol we could have, a lot of stipulations around our health and practices ensuring that we had any type of like, whether like I'm anemic and I have to have like iron pills and stuff like that. So like they were making sure that they had all of our vitamins or any type of pills that we needed, whatever the case may be, like just to ensure that we were okay in that climate, being in Panama, like so far away, but also around so many different things. So it was definitely something that I wasn't, anticipating, but it definitely aligned a little bit more than my experience prior. So that was just like a one-off experience of me dating one like couple. And it was like super exciting. But again, like, because like it wasn't something that I pursued on my own, I kind of didn't anticipate for the role that I was going to have to play. If that makes sense, as the third.
Okay. So did you know about any of the rules going into the show?
So going in, the only thing that I knew is that as a single, I would have to, fight for my chance or whatever the case may be. I would have to, in a sense, compete for love. And, of course, I'm a competitive person naturally, so I love to compete, which is why sometimes like you'll catch me like even just making like faces like smiling, oh, like okay, because in reality I'm like like I'm just like so like what that, especially like I think it's like episode 6 or 7, towards the end of Maximo and Ash's experience with me when they picked Becca. And it was so crazy. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but it was so crazy because just before then, we were all in holding, me and Becca. And when me and Becca are very close. We're both Scorpios and stuff like that. So like we used to be really close, like when we were like not in the house. So like we would like talk, and I would tell her like I was like telling her like a lot of things that were like concerning me and like things that I just wasn't sure about. And she was just so quiet that day. And I was just like, why is she so quiet? Because I'm like kind of spilling the tea about the couple. And I was like, why is being so quiet? Like, you're not really. And then we get out there, they're like, oh yeah, Becca, you had a date with. And I was in my brain, it was just like boom, 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 boom. Okay. Be supportive. This is still your friend. And I was just like, oh yeah. Like it was like such a
awkward.
I know, like I just really wasn't expecting it, but it just rolled over so quickly, and it was just like, wow, like that's that.
Yeah.
But it was really cool because like recently we've all had the opportunities to like reconnect and like hang out at the reunions and all over LA because people have been coming in and out of town. So it's been interesting to, of course, get those afterward or kind of just like come back and like circle back and be like, hey, so, and like get those conversations like out of the way, because like being so far spread out nationally, like it's just like if we didn't follow each other on Instagram right away, like you're just like, I'm watching it. And I feel like at the reunion when they aired the last episode, some people were watching it for the first time. So it was like a little tense.
Yeah.
I try to avoid that as much as I can.
Yeah. What was it like actually being in the moment? Because I know obviously you got picked by Maximo and Ash first, and so there were probably some feelings there, and knowing that in the background, at least after you watched the episode, that there was all these conversations happening with Jonathan and all the feelings they were having with them. How did that make you feel, knowing that you were in the house with them and you were experiencing things with them? What was going through your head as you were watching that back?
Yeah, so just in transparency, one of the things that I had to kind of like, one of the things that I kind of had to embrace during the show was just that like, it wasn't necessarily the experience that I created in my mind. This is the experience that they're creating for us. So when I'm looking at the experience and I'm kind of watching and analyzing like how even just like Frank and I, for example, just like how we're kind of talked about, how it's just like splashed and it's out and it's just like back to this. And it's just like, for me, it felt, and I feel like my problem, and I talked to Max and Ash about this as well, but for me, it just kind of felt a little like objectifying in a way of like, maybe we all feel like this, but for me, it was like, everybody just keeps saying they want to climb this tree. Like even Ashmal in his episode with Sean is just like, and Sean is like, I thought you were going to climb that tree. He's like, I know. Like, it's just like, it's just so easy to like objectify us. But for me, like, I guess just in transparency as a Black man, it was really uncomfortable. Like, it was like really uncomfortable to feel like what am I, like a dildo? I felt like very, not even necessarily sexualized, but I felt like once they realized that I wanted something romantic, it was just like, okay, this isn't as fun. And it was just like, well, shit. You think about Max and Ash, but they refer to like, Jonathan and Becca and their experiences with them. Those experiences are largely like led by them, coming in with such a ferocious charge of like, all right, we're hitting the ground running. Like, let's get a take. Like, I feel like we all had different goals in terms of like what we wanted to do and what we were okay with on the show. And in terms of just like sharing myself or being able to like really like be any more intimate than I was that first night, I didn't really feel like that was going to happen. I didn't see that on the first night with anybody. I don't really usually see that on the first night with anybody. Yeah. But of course, you look at the first episodes, like Jonathan and Becca are like just diving in the house and, having time. And I feel like that's what you should do when you know that's what you want to do. But
Yeah.
from the beginning, my standpoint was always the same, to see if this was something I could do in a romantic capacity. And that's what I wanted to explore. So I wanted to kind of just honor that for myself, because of course, like, we can always have fun. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not a saint, but at the same time, like, I want to make sure that, like, I'm honoring what I say and I'm transparent with, the things that I say to myself. Because otherwise, if I'm lying to myself, I'm definitely going to lie to others, So I just feel
Right.
like I want to make sure that I own that. And when I was doing that, I just kind of started to see, like, oh, well, y'all went on a date. Actually, y'all actually had a whole romantic date to talk and stuff. So now, like, y'all are, of course, ready to link up. But for me, like, those are the opportunities that I wanted. So, like, when we first came in the house and it was all of the second choices, it was
Mhm.
Darian, Mia, and myself. We were all so geeked up because we love each other. Those are my babies. I love, 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 love Darian, Mia. They're literally two of my favorite people from the show. Such sweethearted people. But one thing that we all shared in common was just that, like, we were all so excited to really explore love,
Right.
not exploring like intimacy. We're very, I don't want to say like we're pros, like, but I'm just saying, like, we're good. Like, we understand how beautiful we are. We understand how, like, how we can attract people and unattract people with our voices and with things that we say. So it's not necessarily about that for us. For us, it was more so just trying to see, like, okay, who are you? Like, let me meet you. Because it's like, we've done it before. Like, it's not that new, but it's just something that we wanted to have that type of kind of control to be able to say, like, okay, I want to be in this experience and I want to choose, how I want to go about it. But in the same sense, you have two other minds who also have to choose how they want to go
Right.
about it. So if it's quicker for them to say, oh, let's just see what Jimmy, he might got a big dick. Like, what I'm saying? Like, you never know. It might be
Right.
quicker something like that than it is to see, like, wow, I think that Lena actually was kind of hitting it home when she was talking about, what I'm saying? Like, it's so many people that are kind of like just overlooked. If you think, I mean, Lena, Sadie, Chris, I want to say there's one more. Of course, Brody and Olivia coming in late, not really being able to get as much light, but it was so many people that Olivia honestly probably was definitely one of my favorites in terms of like speaking to. She was such a cool person. She loves
Mhm.
dragons and like has like a dragon tattoo. She's a bearded dragon. But like I'm saying, there's so many different levels and depths of these people that's just like, well, is it surface? Like, are y'all kind of going deep? Like, even with Ashmal and Ramon, when they picked Frank, it was just like they picked him for a minute. He did not even get the heat.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then it was just like, okay, well, if you're not getting down, then get out.
And
Like,
that's one of the things I found when I spoke to Frank, because I had him on, and I realized that there was so much missed opportunity with actually not highlighting the singles as much as they highlighted and focused on the couples, because there was so much to learn from the singles, because the singles were the ones who were actually experienced in polyamory, and they had that connection to non-monogamy, and they actually understood non-monogamy in a way that couples didn't, and they had that knowledge of it. And I think they could have lended a little bit more to the show in terms of education or even exposure and educating the couples and talking about it more. We didn't get to know anything about the singles in terms of like who they were and what they brought to the table. And when it comes to who you were as individuals, what you were saying at the beginning of your statement when you talked about like race and just kind of feeling objectified, that's something we touched on too, me and Frank, and how just being a black man, it did probably feel a lot like you were just kind of like a placeholder or just like a human dildo in a sense, because I think that's something that, if we're being real, that a lot of people that look like you and me feel in the non-monogamy community. We do feel fetishized, we do feel sexualized, we do feel seen for what we look like on the outside before they get to know Frank, before they get to know Junior, before they get to know Joe. The people who are who we are, because they first see black and they think, ooh, this is my first time with a black person. This is going to be my first time to climb that tree or whatever. No one's climbing a tree here. I'm 4'10". But like,
hey, it's twice. Come on, like I feel that. I appreciate that, and it means so much to hear like another Black woman like say that, or even just another person. I feel like because oftentimes like it's like easy to find that comfort in, oh yes, a Black woman gets me, but I just even when I was kind of like there, I was speaking with a therapist about it, and he helped me to really kind of like understand it into a way that was like not really putting as much blame on anybody else, because like I said, like I don't feel like it was intentional at all, but I mean being already like isolated for so long, and then like when you just go in the house, it's the only time you meet people, and then if you're not in the house you go back and you're gone. It's just like so many things play in your mind, so it's just like to hear anybody else say that still is validating, to be able to understand that like not necessarily say I'm not crazy, but though it may not have existed in this exact way this time, I need to continue to be mindful and keep my toolkit ready to assess things like that. So that way I'm not in a situation where I'm starting to realize like, I'm not seen here. Like I'm not valued here. Truly. There's nothing I can think.
I realize that that's a thing with a lot of these situations, especially when you're putting it on reality TV. Reality TV is so focused on not just storytelling, but also like the drama behind it. And in the non-monogamy world, because we are a minority community, we are a marginalized community, monogamy is the norm. It is what everybody does. But polyamory, non-monogamy is not normal. So when you put that on the big screen and you show people engaging in any kind of non-monogamy, you know, relationship style, you don't have to create drama. The stakes are already there. People are putting their relationships on the line. They're putting their reputations on their line. They're putting everything on the line in front of a live audience. You do not have to create, go do this or go do that. How are you feeling? You don't have to put all those things out there. And I was just having this conversation with someone else. We were saying like the stakes are already high as it is. So there's enough drama naturally for you to just focus on the people, to just be like, oh, okay, if you look, there's so much already. You don't need to create the drama. Like, the drama's there. The reality show is there for you. Just turn the camera on and talk to the people, you know? And I think that was one of the things that I think they missed on season 1, that they could do differently on further seasons. I
just wanted to give the producers just a smidge of credit, because I feel like we had a lot of opportunities to record some moments like that, but kind of leaning towards it. So even when I, discussed my experience, and then after talking to, our support on set, I was able to like verbalize it. They even kind of like helped me kind of guide through it in a way that was like not as like cancely, because it was very different conversation. But it's just such a small show that they kind of are like compacting all of these things into. So I feel like that's why you don't even see any of like my interviews, or actually I think only the singles who are in the house or only the singles who are selected at a ceremony get the interviews. And I think even Peach may have one, but it's just like a one-off. But for the most part, they ended up cutting so much of that down. Then there were so many conversations. There was a lot of conflict, actually, like kind of like on set, like that was going on, that was recorded and getting chopped out. And it was just like, yeah, this is a lot going on. And then like, even like they were like kind of like recording us, like kind of like getting over some things and like like fixing some issues, and just like all that natural drama that I feel like you're discussing. It's just like when they're building these shows like this, it's so hard for them to like create that vision and then align it, I guess. So I feel like experiencing it for myself, it felt kind of like a little frustrating to kind of just see like, okay, I see the story that y'all are trying to do, but this is the story that's here, Yeah. So like, I definitely understand like the effect and the dynamic that would have had on the show. And I definitely hope that they do move forward in season 2 like that as well. Just honoring that a little bit more.
Okay. Did you have connections with other people in the house that you would have liked to see develop more or move forward? And who are they?
Well,
That's so cute.
So I'm very transparent. So I have a couple of like crushes in the house.
Okay.
You want the singles or the couples?
It don't matter. Share.
It don't matter.
We
All
don't
right.
discriminate.
My number one, well, I don't want to put a number, but two of my crushes from the singles are definitely going to be Darian and Peach. They were
Yeah, I
absolutely
have
my
a Darian
favorite.
crush too.
Oh my gosh. When I tell you her mind is like a warm, like puddle of like sunshine. Like I don't know how to describe it, like, but literally when I tell you she's like, it's just like she starts so like soft. And then like once she starts to understand you, like she's like not breaking you apart, but she's like literally like making you think. It's just like, whoa, hold on. Like Darian, like she is so intriguing, but like
Ah,
awakening. It's like
my dream guest.
also Peach has a beautiful body. I love everything about Peach's like energy. She's so chill. She's also like kind of East Coast because she's like down in Florida, and we definitely had a vibe. We definitely, yeah, leave it there. And then my next one, as far as like the other singles, he wasn't like with us as much because he was in the house all the time, but I have to give credit where credit is due. Jonathan is that heartthrob.
Yes.
But I actually had like two crazy dreams about Jonathan that I won't describe in detail while we were gone. I was like, wow, and it's like Jonathan is actually really handsome. Like, I was like, wow, I never
Okay.
paid attention because like when you first get there, like I wasn't really looking at the singles initially. It was just like, of course, like people that look like you are always going to catch your attention. But like once I started thinking, I was just like, well, what if we had an option? Like, what if they gave us a little. And then last but not least, this is like a little tipsy crush that I be having, and I be telling people that. This is the first time I'm saying it like out loud. I don't know if he starts to like look like me, but like when I'm a little drunk, like Frank be kind of fine.
Listen, I've been like confusing y'all all season.
We'll go. We have
But
like
because I interviewed so many of you, I watched the season 3 times now, and so I know exactly what you guys look like now. I can tell you apart. But like, it was just like, wow, damn, you guys could be related. But I was just like, oh, damn.
Yeah. Oh, damn.
Wow. Well,
But no, we're all good friends. Oh, Brittany, of course. Brittany is the baddest of the bad. Like style, attitude, very polite.
so what was it like reuniting with the whole cast after filming?
Okay, so the crazy thing is Darian, Mia, Darian, me, and Lena and Mia. I think I was one more person, but we all met up over the summer when we came back. So we came back from Panama in like a month, like everything was, back to regular life. So then we were like all just like, oh, we're gonna see each other, we're gonna see each other. And they're like, oh, this summer, like, let's come out for Darian's birthday because she's a Leo. So we all came out and spent the weekend with her. It was so fun. And it was just one of those moments where you kind of like are able to realize like, wow, the fever dream is over. This is my life. I actually am blessed to know these people. So once we actually met up for the reunion, it was so crazy because I was actually hosting viewing parties all throughout WeHo. So it was like the first Thursday, I had like a little premiere party. Then we went to Heart and we had like a huge like Q&A where like everybody's on stage. And I was like putting them up on stage and asking them questions. It was just so fun. And then like we brought it back to Mickey's. And then on that fourth week, it was the last episode. So that's when the production actually had it right across the street at Rocco's. So I'm like, yo, they just stealing my ideas. But it kind of worked out though, because like everybody was so used to going to that area for the viewing party that I was having. So it's just like, okay, everybody's already here. But it was super fun because everybody came. And I think like Brittany and Sean had actually like flown Max and Ash out and made sure that they could be here. I think the only two people that weren't there were Sanu and Peach. Peach had like a work obligation or something, and then Sanu, I think, it's just on her Sanu way. I'm telling you, she's very selective. But I love Sanu, honestly. She's really like a joy. And one thing that I just wanted to say earlier when you were talking about the cast and like first impressions is that, you were talking about singles and how much singles had to offer, is that Sanu actually probably had 90% chance of the most to offer out of all the singles. And because of the way that even like her and Brody, like I kind of can see like certain things that are true about their personalities. Like I'm not going to sit up here and say Sanu is not going to tell you about yourself and Sanu does not have a load of information to fill you with. I'm also not going to say that Brody does not sometimes say random things that are like, you just want to like have like a little bit moment, but it's just like when you're on the camera for literally only 7 seconds at a time or whatever the case may be, and that's what they choose to select, it looks like that's all they are, you know?
Yeah.
Like for me, I hated that because I hated sitting here watching that first episode with my sister and hearing her say, oh my gosh, she keep talking. Like, why she keep have fun? Like, and it's just like, you have to realize that everybody's gonna like view it differently. So it's just in the same sense of all of us trying to come in and be like, okay, well, this is what we want. Even like Mia, when she was like, okay, well, I know how to verbalize like what I want from this and what I don't want from this. And when she did that, it was like, okay, yeah, we don't want this anymore.
Well,
so it's
see, I fucked with Sanu. Like, I understood where she was coming from. Like, maybe because like I think like that. So I really understood. And I was just like, oh, damn. Like, I didn't like the way she was like the reaction to her. And like, I thought she was being really direct. Like she was well spoken in how she said it because that's how I talk. But like I was just like, damn, well, I guess I sound like like that's how I would sound. But like I get it. Like I guess I could rub people the wrong way too. Like because I think she was just kind of like standing up for herself and just being like, hey, like this feels a bit dehumanizing. And she's an empath, obviously. Like I wouldn't do this to you. So I would like it if you would not do this to me just because I'm the single coming in. You know, like we should all treat each other with humanity.
Yeah.
I don't think she was saying anything major. Like, I think it was just the words felt strong, you know, in the setting that we were in. And it was just like, oh, happy, fun, play around. But it was just like, nah, you kind of disrespecting me a little bit. And, and I'm not a sex toy.
Yeah. And just because other people don't see it directly or automatically doesn't take anything away from how you feel. Even if I completely disagree, you still feel like that. That has to be addressed.
Yeah.
And that's just how I am. Yeah.
I don't know. But I guess I was like, am I the drama? I guess I'm the drama.
I guess I'm the drama.
Would you consider yourself bisexual or like we never got to know a little bit more about who you were in terms of that? And
you could definitely say that I'm pansexual. I don't really like to like put labels. Yeah, but I just feel like just even growing up with like my mom, just knowing like how because like my parents are both very homophobic, but like growing up with my mom always just saying like when people would be like bisexual, you'd be like, oh no, she's gay. Like I have like this thing in my brain where like bisexuality or pansexuality, anything else doesn't exist to like a lot of the world. So like sometimes we'll say, oh yeah, I'm gay or I'm queer. I prefer to say queer because I feel like that's the most
yeah. I think I've been getting more comfortable with queer. I've always said bisexual because I think that's just the more accurate term, but I think queer is becoming more fitting for me. What is your background? I'm Haitian American. So.
I'm also Trinidad and Tobago, Port of Spain.
Oh, look at us, Caribbean in the house.
Yes, I seen the glow and the tea.
See that melanin popping?
Always. Glowing, looking like a piece of gold.
Nice. Yeah. How did your upbringing or your background affect who you are as a person?
Yeah, I grew up really religious in Church of God in Christ. My dad is just like black, very black, African roots, but just like not really like sure. He's like African like play cousins and stuff like that. But for the most part, very traditional on both sides because like my grandfather on my mom's side was a brimstone preacher. Like he was like very much like it's 0, it's 100. So growing up, my sister ended up coming out when I was in the end of college, no, the very beginning of college, she ended up coming out, and then she ended up marrying her wife like 2 years later. So I kind of had like more of my confidence coming from her, but I'd like already been telling her since I was in like sixth grade, like, it's not just girls. Like I was kind of like trying to like
extra.
yeah, it's a little sugar in my tank. But it was just one of those things where it brought us together because we had always like grown up so apart, but we'd always kind of felt that same pressure of we can't really talk about this, we can't really like bring anybody over. We like so once it was like she was going through that, it was a family member had like kind of outed her. So I kind of was going through that with her. Like I literally got so upset for her. It was like it happened for me. And it was just like it brought us so close so quickly. But even still, like very non-controversial subjects in the house, especially holidays and stuff like that. Like, but now she is able to start bringing her wife over more, so that's comfortable. But in terms of like my upbringing, it definitely played a role. Like, of course, in like school and like going like all white schools, and then just also being Black and just not knowing like, hey, do you not like me because I'm Black, or do you not like me because you think I'm gay? Like, it was just so many different things that are always playing in my mind, but. Once I got to college, I went to HBCU and I was the freshman class president of Bowie State University, the oldest historically Black college in the DMV.
Nice.
So it was one of the
talk your shit.
Yeah, getting paid to go on campus. Yeah, but it was an impactful experience because it was like a huge culture shock to be able to be like, okay, well, at least you can just narrow one down.
Yeah.
It was like now that I'm here, it's just like. It seems like the people I really appreciate don't really care about either one. So it was what I needed for sure. I feel like that's what kind of a lot from that time. But it was great, though. My parents, both in the house, of course, like, you know, working. My mom's a doctor. My dad owns a construction company. So definitely like a great, privileged, sheltered life, if you could say that. But in terms of that relationship of being able to be transparent with sexuality and stuff like that. Like I have so many friends who have so many, I don't say, but like different stories than me.
That's cool. You know, I'm going to invite you back because I feel like there's so much more that we need to talk about just in general that has nothing to do with the show.
Yes, I know.
I feel like we just need to have a conversation about life and Blackness in general.
I'll come back when I drop the EP for sure.
Yeah, like I really feel you. Tell me a little bit about what you want to do with your music and how that started and what's going on with that.
Yes, I've actually been playing like piano, trumpet, drums since I was like 6 to 8 years old. I started picking up all of them. I, of course, was just very into everything as far as like theater, in terms of like other art forms. I started getting into modeling when I was in high school. And then in college, I was like just modeling for a period of time. So I kind of had like stopped singing, stopped like writing as much. And then in like 2021, I got into like this really impactful relationship. And after that, like I just was like a machine and I just kept writing and writing and writing and writing. Like I wrote almost like a book of like different like poems, songs, short stories. And it was so full that it just made me feel like, wow, like, what am I going to do with this? And I just started, thinking like, is it time? And I was like, nah, it's not time for that. It's not time. Like, I felt like be somewhere. I wanted to be something when I, started really like doing music. But
yeah,
I was just like, you know what? I think it's fine. And then after I started like kind of making sense out of it and making songs into them, I went through another relationship. And then after that, I was just like, yeah, no, I'm charged up. Like, I got to get in the studio.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where it was just like, okay, a lot of things are aligning for my life right now. Like maybe this would be a nice dynamic to have as well at this point in time. I was just like, okay, I'm not going to wait any longer. And I'm also like knocking on 30. So it's just like certain things I want to have finished or at least started when I was in my 20s. And it's just like being right here at the end. It's just like, okay, let's go ahead and hit the ground running. And now I'm working on this album. Oh, actually, I completed the EP over the course of like November to like January in terms of like being in the studio. I had a producer, KJ Mitchell, back from Bowie, Maryland, who was really great and helped me to kind of catch that beginning like sample sound to see myself. But right now, I'm still working with a couple of other producers for my first album that I'm excited about. Not really sure what that's going to be dropping yet, but the EP is coming this summer. I'm looking forward to releasing a couple more songs for everybody to hear. And I have a couple of skits there. Just like people from my life that mean a lot to me, as well as just like a couple other surprises. So I'll just like leave that for that. But
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
yes, thank you. You can expect that late July, August.
Nice. I'm so excited for you. The last question for you, Junior, is on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you right now?
Wow, 1 to 10 in this particular moment, I'm a 10 because you are giving me the light that I need and right now. Like you are like such a glow. I appreciate you like listening to me ramble. like you're a really great listener, like a very great listener. It's been like a really fun time for me, and it's really like woke up my day. It felt like I just had like some coffee and I didn't even have any. So
Thank you.
like a 10.
Thank you so much. I think it's been really great talking to you and getting to know you again. You have to come back. I really enjoy a good conversation, and whenever I'm connecting with someone, I want to hold on to that and keep going. So I think that that's like the best part of doing what I do and having these conversations with people. I think it was so brave of you to go on a show like Couple to Throuple. Like, I think that's inspiring, and that's why I really wanted to connect with a lot more of the singles, because I think they have so much more to say than what we got to see on the show. And of course, you know, hearing from the actual couples was great, but like hearing from the singles, I think is even more meaningful because there's so much more story there. And I love that, and I knew it because I knew there was more there, and I'm so excited that I got to do that, your story. So thank you for coming on and sharing that with me. And once again, this has been another episode of Unapologetically Anxious Me, Confessions of a Haitian Girl. I'm your host, Joe, and once again, this has been another episode with Junior from Couple to Throuple on Peacock TV. Bye.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.